Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and in this video today we've got something that was delivered into the PO box, and they are hair straighteners. And it says here, "Hi Vince, I'm sending these straighteners to you for a fix it video. They power on, but they heat up for a bit before going cold, or they don't heat up at all. I have taken them apart, but I couldn't find anything obvious. Might make for an interesting fix. Thanks, Joe, Liverpool." Do you know what? I used to support Liverpool Football Club for some reason when I was young, which is a bit strange because I don't live anywhere near Liverpool. I didn't back then either. But yeah, I was massively into Liverpool. I remember it was clearly 1986. I could still probably name loads of them. Ian Rush, Bruce Grobbelaar, John Barnes, Kenny Dalglish was the manager, Ian Mulby. It's all coming back to me. Anyway, let's plug these in and see what's happening. So thanks, Joe. Thanks for sending these over. Let's plug them in and see what is going on. Right, so we've got life here. So there's definitely power getting into them. Plus, minus, does that work? Oh, here we go. So you turn them on. 190. It's hard to see. There you go. You can only see them from certain angles. So that's working. What do they go up to? Right, 235 is the highest. And 150 is the lowest. They're not heating up. Right, okay, so we know power's getting into it. Let's take it apart and see what's going on. So we have a little cover blanking thing here. Let's just start taking things out and hopefully it'll become clear as we go along. Obviously I am unplugged. Now although this is a Remington, I'm sure the insides are going to be very similar to like GHD and other models out there. So does this, oh here we go, that slides back, so that's nice and easy. It looks like there might be a clip that goes, does that go round? I wonder, does that undo to undo this? Yes. Right, so that undoes there. Is that going to release this? No. So we're going to have to punch out this little thing here, aren't we? And it can only go from that side because you can see it's bigger that side. There we go. Right, that's out. So we have a spring here. Let's remove the spring. Oh no, we don't have to. No, it's stuck in there. We don't have to remove it. Right, okay. What happens if we remove this here? Not a lot. Oh, that starts to come out. Ah, right, okay. Right, let's undo these here. Oh, I can see that this is already partly undone. So I wonder are these ceramic? Because I think the big thing about the GHD ones when everybody was going crazy for them was that they were ceramic. So maybe they're all ceramic now. Right, I think a different screw was put in there because they're both different. So I think a couple of screws might have got mixed up. Is that going to come out now? Or do we have to undo this as well? You're going to come out? Yes, you are. So that clips in. Ooh, we've got a little piezo buzzer there. Right, okay. I can see a brown wire. Look. I mean, it might have happened now when I was prying, but can you see this brown wire? Looks like it's come adrift from somewhere. So as I say, I'm not sure if that is the problem. Oh, look at this. Wow. So that is how... Oh, that's clever. So can you see the two prongs here? It allows it to swivel. So kind of like a coaxial cable. You know, a TV cable. You've got the inner and the outer. I like that. So that's what allows it to swivel round, while still keeping a 240 volts in there. I know it's going to be fine, but obviously somebody else might be looking at this video for a Remington one and they might need to know this. So let's go to continuity and we're going to go to the outer one. I presume that's going to be neutral. Yes, and it's not going to live or earth, and this one is going to live not neutral or not there. So we know the cable is okay. Right, let's zoom in. Let's get rid of this. Zoom in and have a look closely at what's going on here. Should I take off this side as well out of curiosity? I think we should. Now I wonder, is it going to be that wire, or has that come adrift while either myself or Joe were looking at it? Ooh, look at this here. So we've got two wires here. We've got what looks like some kind of, it looks like two capacitors, does it not? And something wrapped up in here as well. Right, so let's have a look here. Oh, so these are the plates. Okay. Right, now what is going on? Where's that brown wire? Where should that brown wire be going to? So we have a brown wire coming through here. Do you know what? Look, brown wire coming through here, but it's snapped. It's snapped the same as the Rolls-Royce hinge, where it's going through the hinge. This is the flex part here, and it's snapped there. So I suppose Joe didn't see that because he was just unlucky that that was probably in there at the time, and you wouldn't think to pull the wires out. So let's see if any of the other ones are frayed. Let's see if we can work this way down. You might have a, in fact you can see there. Can you see here? It's slightly broken. So it must have been rubbing for a while. Right, what do the others look like? Well, I think the others look okay. I mean, sometimes they can be damaged on the inside and you wouldn't see it. But I can't see any fraying on the outside. So I reckon the brown one just so happened to be on the very outer edge here. And that's the one that got it. Right now, where does the brown one go to? The brown one goes through here. Because I think I'm going to have to replace it. Let me just take this board out, see where it goes to. Yes, pops out. Oh, of course, this is the little display here and the buttons. Alright, so the brown wire goes to back through the board to this one here. Fine. So we can replace that, can't we? From there. And where does it go to here? Is this going to be some sort of thermal fuse or something? But it is, because it's clamped. Right, I reckon that is probably some sort of thermal fuse in there because of the way it's been clamped here. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it here. Well, I'm wondering, should I just join it? Should I join? Do you know what? Let's join it here, then I don't have to worry about damaging the thermal fuse because the heat's not going to travel. Well, it will eventually, but it's going to take a long time to go all the way down here into here. That's if that is a thermal fuse. As I say, it's all heat shrink, so it's a bit hard to see. I have to put some liquid rubber all over that again to make sure that's all insulated. Right, let me get a new bit of wire. Right, slight problem. I haven't got a bigger range of wire gauges. So I've got this one here, which is lovely copper, you know, good quality. It's quite thick. And I've got this one here, which is very, very, very thin. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the thicker wire. It's going to be harder to get through here. But yeah, I'm going to go with that. Now, I thought these were thermal fuses here, but they can't be because this is the only thing powering it. So this red one must be powering this. But here on this one, we do have two red ones and also two blue ones. So it must be the blue ones, which is like a thermal fuse. So I just want to see, well, could that be some sort of, it says NTC. Maybe that's like a temperature control. You know, to measure, that's going to be to measure the temperature, isn't it? So the thermal fuse must be this thing here. So let's see if we have continuity across it. We do. Yeah, so the only thing wrong here, I think, is the fact that that wire broke. So I'm going to use the thicker one. I wish I did have the same width wire, Right, I tried using the thicker wire, but unfortunately it doesn't fit through the sheath, you know, through the hinge, or it doesn't go through the circuit board, so that's not an option. I hunt around a bit more and I do find some brown wire that should do the job. It looks thinner than the wire that the manufacturers use, but yet the conductors on the inside look to be the same thickness. So the sheath isn't as thick, but yet the conductors do look to be roughly the same size. Also, the wire I'm using is copper, and the one that they've used is aluminium, so there's going to be less resistance. Copper's better, isn't it? So there's going to be less resistance on the copper. I think this is going to be suitable, but what I'm going to have to do is get a whole range of wire gauges, because you know, you need to really you need to put in the same wire that came out, because otherwise, you see, if you've got 240 volts going down here, this could easily go on fire if you use a thin wire, because it's going to overheat. And let me get some heat shrink for this side here. Oh, this is irritating. My heat shrinks are in the Rolls Royce. I can't face driving down there, if I'm honest with you. Right, I'm gonna have to go straight onto here, and hopefully the heat won't blow the thermal fuse. I wanted to heat shrink it here, you see, away from it, but that's not going to happen. The problem here is the temperature from the soldering iron is normally higher than what the thermal fuse can handle, and if you try to solder the wire onto it, it will basically blow the thermal fuse. That's the reason the thermal fuses are crimped in the first place rather than soldered, to stop them blowing, because a crimp has no heat. Now let's wrap these ones around each other so it's made the connection anyway. Right, so I'm going to cut that here, and I'm going to try to wedge this to act as a heat sink behind it, like so. Hopefully then the heat will want to go down here rather than on the thermal fuses. Let's just flood this area quickly with solder. Right, here goes. Doing it at the very tip. There we go. Okay. Now let's get the multimeter, see if we've still got continuity from here to here. Please say we have. Yes, we have. Yeah, and well, that goes through both of them. So we have, so they're both okay because it goes through both of them. Fantastic. Now I'm just going to snip some of that excess off and fold it in to the clamp like so. And now I'm going to put a load of liquid rubber, this stuff here, over this area. That should be ample. It's great stuff, this liquid rubber. Let me get it right the way in here. Right, so I'm just going to let that dry away for itself. Now let's do this other side. And I notice there's a very slight break in the sheath here as well. So I'm going to put some liquid rubber on that. Right, so the brown wire broke and it wasn't heating up. Is it because it goes through this thermal fuse here to this red wire, and although the thermal fuse goes down here, there must have to be continuity between this red wire and the brown wire over on the, over on the other side. So power comes into here, and so power must have to come through the brown wire onto the board in order to say everything's okay. Otherwise, it's going to be the same as that little thermal fuse here breaking, I think. That's if that is a thermal fuse. I presume it is. Right, annoyingly, I've managed to get liquid rubber on here. So it looks like that might well be it, as long as the brown wire is the only fault. So now we need to put it all back together. I need to find the correct screws for each hole, make sure that I get them all in the right place, and I need to use a couple of wet wipes just to give everything a wipe down. There's a lot of dust build up underneath the ceramic plate, so let's get rid of all of that from all the little nooks and crannies, and let's get these hair straighteners looking like new again.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
And that's going to be the screw here. So I think all the screws are in the correct place. There we go. So now that keeps it shut, and then that opens it up. Right, let's see now if it is going to work. So now if I plug it in and put this against here, we should see it moving on up. Now I'm slightly apprehensive. I hope that no wires have been trapped or anything. It may go bang. Right, here goes. Let's just lock that for the time being. Now, plugging it in, keeping my face away, plugging it in now. Okay. Well, we've still got power, which is a good thing. Now, let's open it up. Now, what do you do this to? Oh, there. So you do that to turn it on. So it's going to be 190. Can you see that? 190. So let's see, is it heating up? So I don't have to burn myself. Yes, it is. Oh, that's heating up nicely. I can actually feel it now on my fingers. Right, so that top one's definitely working, and I can smell it as well. Right, so now let that cool down. Right, so that must mean it's up to temperature, does it? Let's turn it around here. 190, yeah. Right, let's now do this one here and see that start to raise up. Yay, there you go. Fantastic, I can really feel the heat. So there we have it, one Remington hair straightener's working again. So I think Joe was a little bit unlucky there, because if he had just tapped that wire, it would have fallen out. It just so happens when I took it apart, then the wire fell out. If I didn't see that, I think I would have been struggling for quite a while. I think I would have, well, mind you, I would have tested the thermal fuses. I don't know if I would have thought to check for continuity from that side to that side. You don't expect it to go on the hinge, but maybe if you fix these day in, day out, maybe it's quite a common problem, because look, there's quite a bit of flexing going on there. And just like the Rolls-Royce door, I know a lot of people haven't seen that series, but the wires that go from the window controls on the door, where they go through the hinge, one of them had failed, and it took me ages to find that, because you don't visually see that. It's only when you pull the wire and then it comes away in your hand, you think, that's too short to make its way through the door. So just like here, it had gone on the hinge. So yeah, something to look out for if you're fixing them yourself. They might not necessarily just be the thermal fuses. I think thermal fuses are the common problem on these, where they've been left on and then they overheat and burn out the thermal fuse. But obviously, if you're sensible using them, then they might just go on the hinge like this one here. So massive thanks to Joe for sending it out to me. The biggest surprise for me was the temperature. So that setting there was 190 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius. So if you think boiling water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, and this mid setting, not the highest setting, the mid setting was 190 degrees Celsius, I would say that that's going to burn out all the oils and everything from your hair. So long-term use, I wouldn't say your hair would be in very good condition. But that is the price of looking good. So there we have it. Big thank you, Joe, for sending it out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and I will be back very soon with another Fix It video. Thank you so much for watching.